formerly known as Arctic Red River, Seeshik, mouth of Iron River, is a quaint community of just under 200 people located at the scenic confluence of the Arctic Red and Mackenzie rivers. This is the ancestral territory of the Gitchaya-Gitchin, who for generations would travel during late summer up the Arctic Red River into the mountains along the Yukon, NWT border. They would live and hunt in the area throughout the winter before returning to the fishing grounds at Seeshik in the spring once the river opened up. Permanent settlement here began with the establishment of a Catholic mission in 1868, followed by a Hudson's Bay Company trading post in the 1870s. Many of Seeshik's Gitchin residents still remain close to the land today. You can see net fishing year-round, as well as view the traditional methods of making dry fish and dry meat. In the winter, trappers are busy in the bush hunting animals for their meat and fur. The visitor center here can connect you with local residents and craftspeople. If you're making the drive in August, check out Seeshik's Canoe Days celebration, with canoe races, fiddling, jigging and drum dancing. If you've brought your own fishing gear, this would be an excellent place to look for feisty little Arctic grayling. Also be sure to hike up to Seeshik's famous community sign, located on the hills overlooking the mighty Mackenzie. Access to Seeshik is via the Dempster Highway. In winter, vehicles go directly over the ice, but the rest of the year visitors take the Louis Cardinal Ferry, which crosses the Arctic Red and Mackenzie rivers. Be sure to tell the crew you're making that Seeshik detour. Fort McPherson, Gitchin, Tetlitze, the .tlth, at the head of the waters, is a hamlet located in the Inuvik region of the Northwest Territories, Canada. It is located on the east bank of the Peel River and is 121 kilometers, 75 miles, south of Inuvik on the Dempster Highway. The First Nations people who make up the majority are Gitchin, Tetlitz Gitchin, and the two principal languages spoken are Gitchin and English. 7. Originally the site of a Hudson's Bay Company post, the community was named for Murdoch McPherson. Most people have vehicles and regularly make trips to either Inuvik or Whitehorse, Yukon. Fort McPherson was the starting point of Francis Joseph Fitzgerald's famous tragic journey of the Lost Patrol. All 4 men on the patrol, including Fitzgerald, were buried at Fort McPherson on the 28th of March 1911. In 1938, the graves were cemented over into one large tomb, to the right of the flagpole above image, with cement posts at the 4 corners connected by a chain. In the center is a memorial to the Royal Northwest Mounted Police Patrol of 1910. National Historic Site. In 1969, the area comprising the boundaries of the community of Fort McPherson, as it was mapped in 1898, was designated a National Historic Site of Canada, in recognition of the fact that the site had served as the principal Hudson's Bay Company trading post in the Mackenzie Delta region for over 50 years, and had been the first Northwest Mounted Police post in the Western Arctic. Fort McPherson is accessible by road all year from Dawson City and Whitehorse, Yukon, with the exception of spring break-up and fall freeze-up on the Peel River. The community also has access to Inuvik via the Dempster Highway and crosses the Mackenzie River at Seeshik. There is also a small airport at Fort McPherson, Fort McPherson Airport, that has seasonal flights to Inuvik, Mike Zubko Airport on Aklakare when the road across the Peel is closed. 9. The former Fort McPherson Water Aerodrome was listed as closed in the 15th of March 2007 Canada Flight Supplement. Fort McPherson, a brief history. Fort McPherson, or Tetlitze, town at the headwaters, was established in 1849 when John Bell, an explorer for the Hudson Bay Company, established a trading post along the lower Peel River, 4 miles up from where the community of Fort McPherson is now situated. After experiencing numerous floods, the post was moved to higher ground. This post was called Peel River House but was later named Fort McPherson after Murdoch McPherson, who eventually became the chief factor for the Hudson's Bay Company. Fort McPherson is located on the east bank of the Peel River. The community sits on a bluff overlooking the Peel River, facing the beautiful Richardson Mountains. The Peel River was named after Robert Peel, who had explored the large river entering the Mackenzie Delta as part of the Franklin expedition of 1826. Fort McPherson is home to the Teatlet Gitchin people. The Canadian Gitchin people are found in the history books under the name Louchuks Indians. A French missionary imposed the term, which means slanted eyes. Anglican missionaries later arrived in 1866. The first Anglican missionary to reside in Fort McPherson was Archdeacon Robert MacDonald. He married a local Gitchin woman and made his home here for more than 50 years. Archdeacon Robert MacDonald translated the Bible into the Gitchin language and left a strong tradition of Christianity which is still practiced today. In 1900 the missionaries started a school. The federal school system was later started in 1946. The first member of the Northwest Mounted Police arrived in Fort McPherson in 1903. In the early 1900s the RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, sent a patrol from Dawson City, Yukon to Fort McPherson. The patrol carried mail to the trading post in Fort McPherson. In 1911 the patrol set out from Fort McPherson back to Dawson City but never arrived. A search party was sent from Fort McPherson and a month later traces of the Fitzgerald patrol were found near Big Wind River. All members of the patrol were found dead within 25 miles of Fort McPherson. The officers' bodies were recovered and buried at St. Matthew's Anglican Church Cemetery in Fort McPherson. In 1925 the Gitchin people started to build cabins in Fort McPherson. These dwellings were built only as a temporary shelters to use during special gatherings. Eventually, the people settled permanently in the community. In 1959 construction of the Dempster Highway began and the highway was complete in 1978. The Dempster is a gravel road and is open year-round. It runs from Inuvik, past Fort McPherson on its way to the highway system in the Yukon. Highway access to the community is interrupted twice a year when the Peel River Ferry shuts down in the fall, after which an ice crossing is constructed on the Peel River, and in the spring, when the spring breakup of ice occurs. Fort McPherson has a population of approximately 900. More than 80% of the population is of Gitchin descent. The economy of the community is primarily based on local businesses such as the local retail outlets, the Fort McPherson Tent and Canvas Factory, a local trucking company, government services, and other private enterprises.